All right, listen up, gentlemen, and women too, because this one affects both of us, right? There are assignments given to us by, God, right? As men, that we're supposed to take a woman's purity. We're supposed to take our girlfriend's purity seriously, right? And we're not supposed to tempt someone into sin. We're not supposed to tempt someone into lust. We're also not supposed to be watching porn and masturbating, right? But I want to play these couple of video clips for you, and I want to build this example for you of what we ought to do, why we ought to do it, and why walking in victory over lust matters so much. Let's watch these clips, guys. Let me break it down for you.
There's only one way to get away from sexual sin. That's all you gotta do. If they hit you with the ayo little oh, you trying to come up? We could just watch a movie at my. Can't let the devil talk for too long, okay? You let him talk for too long, and that's how you get manipulated. Cause that's the problem. Y'all be letting them talk for too long, okay? Don't let them get that sentence out. You got to. That's it. The Bible said flee. So what you gonna do? Flee.
And this goes both ways. It's not just men that are tempting women. It's women that are tempting men too. It happens both ways. But I like how she literally just took off running. That's what we got to do, guys. We got to flee. And our assignment as men is to not be this guy that she has to flee from. You don't want to be making your woman fall into temptation. You want to take her purity seriously, because God's not playing with you about his daughters, right? There's a harsher judgment for a man that makes his woman stumble than if he were to build her up and give her back to God better than what he got her as. Let me play you this video real quick.
Boys, it's so hard for me to say this, but yesterday I fell into lust with my girlfriend, right? And I just feel so much shame, so much guilt, right? So much conviction. It's crazy that something that I used to indulge in so much now convicts me so hard. But guys, as men, we are called to be leaders. We are called to provide, to protect, provide this faith, provide this protection of against sin, right? And how guilty does it feel to have God entrust you with one of his daughters, and you lead her into the sin that pushes her away from God, that pushes our relationship away from God, that prioritize our short-term desires, our pleasure over God. Guys, we must protect the woman that God has entrusted us in our lives from this. This is what we're called to as men. We're supposed to lead. Doesn't matter who starts it. No, as men, we are supposed to lead. Doesn't matter where the desire comes from. As men, we are supposed to lead against this battle. It's a spiritual battle, right? And too many men are passive about it. And I was passive about it yesterday. I'm not talking from a point of perfection. I'm just as bad, right? But we see too many men just completely submitting to women, completely throwing all their morals to the side because of lust, because of girls in their life, because they see a pretty girl and they'll do whatever it takes to get to her. As men, we become slaves to this desire, and it must stop. We must submit it to God. We must let the Holy Spirit, we must let God guide us. There's no other way. Our brain falls short every single time. Our flesh falls short every single time. There's no way around it, bro. We got to attack it aggressively. I just had to document because, man, the guilt, the shame, it just feels so bad. But no, you guys are not alone in this battle. I'm not alone in this battle. Right? We're in this together. We got God on our side, and he's stronger than anything. Stronger than any short-term desire. Let's go.
And I know that there's many of you out there that are dealing with this right now. You guys message me, you guys leave comments of this exact scenario. And guys, I was in this scenario too. About 2 years ago, I was dating a woman for a short period of time. And as controlled as we tried to be, we still stumbled. And I was a man in church, and she went to my church as well. And I was trying to not lead her into temptation, but once you start crossing that line, once you start breaking those boundaries, it gets easier to continue to do it, until eventually I had to break things off with this woman. And there was more to our breakup than just sexual immorality, right? There was really issues, underlying issues that weren't being, they were being addressed, but they weren't being fixed. So you got to know when it's time to go too, right? But on top of that, guys, if you're in this situation, you're probably feeling like this guy does too, where he's ashamed. Even though he just did this sin, he's doing the right thing by taking accountability for it and making this video to hold himself accountable. And some people will be like, there's no purpose for him coming to air his dirty laundry out on the internet. But sometimes someone needs to hear what that they're not the only one going through this, because a lot of people feel alone in their sin, but that's what the enemy whispers to them. You're the only one going through this. You're the only one that can't keep it together. You're the only one that keeps struggling with this sin. Look at you. You're a loser. You think God loves you, right? And this is what the enemy will do, and it berate you. That's why videos like this helps. But I also want to highlight the importance, man, of us leading our women biblically, of us taking their purity seriously, right? And I'm not saying that women don't lead men to struggle, because the spirit of Jezebel, Lilith, all these, demonic principalities out there that operate in both men and women, there's people are both being used to make the other gender stumble, right? It's not just men, but men, we have an assignment to step up to the plate and do the right thing. Even when the right thing is hard to do, you still got to do it. Listen to this video right here.
Saw a post on here today that said, I think the only thing worse than a lustful man is a lustful man that genuinely does love you. I don't know what kind of relationships could actually have both in that, but that's deep. Because when a man actually loves you but still moves out of lust, that means his heart loves you, but his flesh runs the show. He'll tell you you're everything to him, but still can't keep his eyes or his hands off everything else. And that's confusing, right? Because you start thinking, if he loves me, why can't he honor me? It's because love and discipline aren't the same thing. Some men feel real love, right? They just don't have self-control to protect it. So now you're left dealing with mixed signals. The passion feels real, the connection feels deep, but the actions don't line up. And that's the worst kind of heartbreak, right? When somebody meant it, but still messed it up. Love without discipline turns into destruction, because if he can't lead his flesh, he'll eventually just lose your trust.
No, this is powerful because it's true. If a man can't control his lust, it doesn't matter whether he loves the woman or not. He will eventually stumble along the lines. And that stumbling may not be with that woman. That stumbling may be with pornography. It may be with masturbation. It may be with another woman altogether, right? And that's why you have to check yourself. That's why you have to get your flesh under control. That's why you have to get your prayer game up. You got to get your bouncing your eye game up. When you see something that's not yours, don't look at it. Don't touch it. Don't do, you flee. You go the other way, right? But you got to get these reps in, man, because the enemy's not going to stop using lust against you. It's not going to stop happening, men and women. There's always going to be somebody that the devil tries to put in your sight that makes you desire something that you shouldn't, right? And that's when you have to lean on the Lord. That's when you have to realize that God gave you something amazing. If you're married, he gave you something amazing, and you are to cherish that. And if you're in a dating relationship, you need to be working on yourself, so that way you can be sharp and ready for the time that the person that you're going to marry comes into your life. Because if you don't have your flesh in control, I'm not saying that you won't be able to still get married, but you want to go into this as pure as possible, right? You want to, if you're a virgin, you want to go into this marriage covenant a virgin. You don't want to go into this dating relationship as a virgin, and then before you get married, you're pregnant or something like that. Like, I'm not saying that God won't honor it. I'm not saying that God won't bless it, because I can't speak for God. But why put him to the test? Why see if God will bless it when you know that he'll bless it if you just wait? We have a huge responsibility put on our shoulders, and that's to take care of this woman, of especially a woman of God that God has given us, and we're supposed to honor her and treat her and love her like Christ loved the church, right? Now, you're not supposed to do all that if you're not married, right? Because that's for an actual marriage. But a lot of you are out here giving into the flesh just in dating relationships. So if you can't even do the right thing in a dating relationship, how are you going to do the right thing in marriage? And that's why you shouldn't just rush into marriage just so you can have sex, because your character ain't built up yet. You don't even have any reps in the tank built up on how to fight this, how to flee from this, how to overcome this, right? Because you've just been giving into your flesh the whole time. So I really need you guys to understand that biblically, you're supposed to flee from this. You're not supposed to entertain this. And if you're a man or a woman in a dating relationship where you guys keep stumbling, I'd say that maybe you guys don't need to be together, and I know people don't want to hear that, but I've had to leave women in the past that I just kept stumbling with. Not that it was all their fault because I had to take accountability, but at the end of the day, I also know that if it's going to be this hard, I shouldn't be putting myself in that position in the first place. And I had to leave, right? Then I met a godly woman later on down the line that I didn't have sex with before marriage. And here we are married, right? So it can happen. And I'm 42 years old, guys. So don't be trying to make it happen overnight. You never know how long it's going to take when it's in God's plan. So that's going to do it for this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, God bless.